Welcome to the Remarkable Dentist Podcast with me, Fred Joyle, where I interview amazing dental practice owners digging into their successes and failures, their insights and hindsights, getting their views on where dentistry is going, and discovering what it took for them to become remarkable. Welcome to the Remarkable Dentist Podcast. Today, I have my very good friend, Dr. Samir Puri. He has had a really interesting set of twists and turns in his dental career. He is now the vice president of CDOCS, which is an educational center based in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is where he works from. He came out of the San Fernando Valley back when I first met him. And we're going to cover this amazing journey of his, this remarkable journey from being a simple dentist to really involved. And you may have seen him if you've been to Dentsply Sirona World. He was the MC the past couple of years. He also is a tremendous stage educator. But let's just dive right in. Samir, welcome to the podcast.
Fred, how are you? It's so good to see you. Yeah, back in the days in the Valley, we knew each other. We were just kind of down the street over the hill from each other. And it's been an interesting, I would say, 20 plus years in dentistry for me. That's for sure. A remarkable 20 plus years. It's been a good ride.
Well, and you, early on, you got hooked into CAD/CAM. You got hooked into CEREC. And that made you became innovative in how you not only started using it, but also you felt like that there was a need, a gap that you filled out there.
Yeah, so I kind of grew up around computers. My whole family, they're either doctors or engineers, and the engineers in my family, so my mom's brothers, they're in the computer business, manufacturing and such over the years. And so I kind of grew up, building computers. So when I first saw the CEREC in my residency, I just gravitated towards it. It made sense. And back then, this was, I finished dental school in 97. So, residency in 98. So this was the early generation of CEREC. And there was a lot of people like, oh, this, the margins suck and the aesthetics suck. And yeah, obviously it wasn't what it is today. But I saw the kind of the potential of it, and I just gravitated towards it because of my computer background. And T-Bone, Tarun Agarwal, and I started the Townie meeting, and Sirona at the time was one of our sponsors. And through that, I kind of became a beta tester and bought the machine and just kind of started training on it and just found my niche. I loved it. It was a great piece of technology. It did wonders for my practice. And as far as finding that niche, started training people. Patterson had a thing where you were a basic trainer where you would provide training for all new owners. And I became a basic trainer, and along with my partner at the time, we started doing advanced training courses, and the idea of CERECdoctors.com came up, a website. And there was a need because there was one other group doing CEREC education with DVDs. And I still remember them talking about how proud they were that it took them 6 months to produce a DVD. And we're like 6 months. By the time your DVD comes out, the software's outdated. And so my family,
yeah, you're not talking about the right upgrade.
No,
anymore.
Exactly. It was like it was like that doesn't make sense. But this was right around the time of YouTube, and so we put up a video on one of our websites, and all of a sudden it had 500 views in 24 hours. I'm like, whoa, we're onto something here. And so I had a cousin in India who built a website. We sent out some mailers and got a bunch of people to sign up for CERECdoctors.com, and the rest, as they say, is history. And Patterson and Sirona included that website as part of every single new purchase since I want to say 2007 or so. So yeah, it was, and that was just the kind of the start of my CEREC journey there. And it was wild.
Now, what you did, which I found fascinating, is you took every little occurrence, every type of procedure that somebody would be presented with, and basically it was often 5 or 10, maybe 15 minutes of like, this is how you do this when this, and so they could search and they go like, yeah, but right. And so if they could literally be chair side going, what the heck, what do I do here?
Yeah. And you know,
and pop it open.
Yeah. And the software was so much more complicated and so much more limited. So for example, we had to make videos on how do you draw a margin, right? What's the proper way to draw a margin?
Right.
Now that's done automatically with the software. So it's, you know, obviously what we now put on video has completely changed, but you're absolutely right. The concepts of where it started was, how do I draw a margin? Let's make a video. How do I make the cusp move, you know, 2 millimeters? Let's make a video on that. And so that kind of got us a following. And then that led to the partnership with what was at that time the Scottsdale Center for Dentistry. And so we started doing advanced courses here in Scottsdale. And in 2011, I moved here full time. So that was a big decision to kind of leave my family in the Valley, where I basically spent 30 plus years growing up and had my practice. But I think I saw that the opportunity with CEREC doctors was really big, and the partnership with what became Spear Education at that time was really big as well. And so I decided to take the leap of faith and move. And it was a great move for me personally.
Yeah. And so many dentists don't approach a divergence from their chairside career because it's scary. So the most adventurous thing they're going to do is maybe open another location. Right. Or expand their location. And that's, as we know, that can be challenging enough. There's risk there, and there's plenty of ways that can go wrong. But you just went like, I think when I saw you do it, I went, wow, he's really jumping a little bit off a cliff here. I think I'm hoping there's a cord attached to his ankle so that he bounces back. And I think you had to do some work persuading your wife to do this as well.
Yeah, she's a creature of habit. She did not want to move. And I think the first year that we were in Scottsdale was the worst year of our marriage. She was miserable. I mean, she had her routine. She had her friends. She didn't want to move. And, it took about a year for her to realize, wow, this is, for our family, for our financial future, for basically our marriage, this is the right thing to do. Because, in LA, and I've shared this story in our workshops before, in LA, I've got, 20 first cousins. My wife's family is even bigger. And so every weekend it was like, whose house are we going to? Are we going to this person's house, that person's house? So it was never about us. So moving here, it's just us. And so that made it, that we're spending time and focusing on each other. So my kids were, they had a little tough time, but certainly not as bad as my wife. But now Mina won't go back. I mean, she won't move back. Like, this is home for us. And, you mentioned the leap of faith. Like, when I moved, there was no guarantee that this was going to work out, right? I mean, it was just another teaching center. And so, in hindsight, people say, oh, well, yeah, of course he's, doing well because he's associated. Yeah, but I was the first instructor here. Like, our first CEREC class was in 2007 here. There was no guarantee of anything. And, but I saw the opportunity, and in the back of my mind, I said, you know what, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I can always start another practice, right? Knowing what I know now, having gone through starting a practice and selling a practice and growing the practice, I mean, good Lord, I could easily start another practice. But I will never have the opportunity to be a leading educator at, what has turned into probably arguably, I'll say the finest educational facility in the country, if not the world. That was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So that's why I decided to take it. It was a risk, but I think it was a calculated risk in that, there was no guarantee, but it was like, I think, I believe in our leadership team. I believe in where we're headed. I believe in the partnerships that we have. And so I decided to do it, and it worked out. It worked out really well.
Well, there's a really important lesson here that I think a lot of dentists need to realize is that you can start over as a dentist from nothing. We know docs who have for whatever reason that their practice crashed and burned in some city or somewhere else, so they had to move and start over. You can take this career and you know, at 45 start from nothing and still, you know, 2 years out be doing okay again. Yeah. It's pretty unique from that. So you did have an actual fallback position, which is dentist.
I had my degree. I had my dental degree, and you're right. You know, and even if I can't start a practice, I mean, I can go work as a dentist pretty much anywhere. So yeah, that's why I said it was a calculated risk, but there was no guarantee that anything other than just me having a job down here was going to happen. But, you know, what ended up happening was that Spear actually bought CDOCS Doctors. And so I sold the company to Spear. And so now I'm a partner in Spear and a stakeholder in Spear Education, which is our parent company. And then we started doing other education other than CDOCS. We now teach implant dentistry and endodontics and clear aligner therapy and cone beam. So we changed our name from CDOCS Doctors to CDOCS, because that's a little bit more universal, and it's not so single product focused. So we do a lot of education, a lot of different things. So last year we changed our name to CDOCS. And so I am now the Vice President of Education of CDOCS, a company that I helped co-found. And, but, you know, at the end of the day, Fred, you know, our leadership team, they are smart people. I am not one of them. I just happen to be along for the ride. So while I am good at what I do, you know, being in this role has been certainly a learning experience for me.
Yeah, and I obviously I know the people who are the executives at Spear and the founders, Imtiaz Manji, and he's certainly a visionary. I mean, I remember Scottsdale Center when it was a dirt lot, and he showed me and he said, "This is what's going to be here." And as you said, when you in 2007, when you started there wasn't it wasn't full of courses. But now it is a premier training center. Yeah. And there is also another location in Charlotte, right? They've added that.
Yeah. So we do education now in our center here in Scottsdale, which we're in the process of reconfiguring to accommodate the additional workshops, which is, I'll tell you, it feels so good to say that, because last year I thought it was all over, right? Hey, it's been a fun run, but COVID hit and it's over. See you later. There's no more classes. But boy, we're coming back strong, which I'm so grateful for. But so we're in the process of reconfiguring our space to be able to see more docs through what our projections are. And then we are also, you know, having space at the Dentsply Sirona Academy in Charlotte, where we rent space, where we do some of our workshops as well. So we're on both coasts, East Coast and West Coast. And we've got faculty that travel to both places. And, you know, I've just got such an amazing team that supports everybody that's doing the education there. And like I said, going from 2007 to this thing isn't going to work to, wow, we're really doing well and things are fun and successful, to all of a sudden in 2019 going to, that's going to end pretty quickly, to now coming out.
It was abrupt, certainly, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but now, you know, we're looking at our projections and saying, you know, people are getting vaccinated, people are ready to travel, people want to learn. So that none of that has stopped. And, you know, we survived 2020. And my hope is that we thrive in 2021 with all of the, you know, we're so gracious for all the doctors that come down to visit us. It's amazing. I love our community.
Now, you mentioned something here that some people are going to go, what the heck was that? The Townie meeting. Because you've started a few things in your time. And so what is this Townie meeting you speak of?
When I graduated from dental school residency, I don't forget what it was. I joined a little website called Dental Town. And being the big mouth that I am, became fairly active and vocal on there, and just kind of became one of the regular.
Which is, so people know, Dental Town started as basically like a bulletin board.
Yeah.
For people that just talk about techniques they were using, products they were using, experiences they were having in the industry.
Yeah, we take that stuff for granted now with Facebook and Instagram and all the ways that people can communicate. But back then, if you're a dentist, you didn't really talk to other people other than your local study club. You had no way to interact with people on a national or international scale. So Dental Town became very popular. And so I was kind of a regular contributor there, and I just started posting some of my cases and workflows, and I guess that was kind of the beginning of my lecturing career, because if you can post something on a website like Dental Town and defend, I would say, all the arrows in your back, you can pretty much make it anywhere. So it was good training for the hecklers out there.
Yeah. This was the first experience of a forum where people felt incredibly safe attacking.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't post on Dental Town anymore, and I haven't, simply because that's all it turned into. And I hate to say that because it was such a big part of my life and my career, but the negativity on there was, anything someone would do, and if they were successful, normal people can't do that. Well, this guy's showing you how to do something, right? Whether it's a successful practice or using the CDOCS or being, having investments that are thriving, you can't do that. You're just making it up. All right. After a while, you get tired of that and like, all right, I'm going to go hang out with people who are happy and successful. So regardless, Tarun Agarwal and I decided, hey, all of these people are chatting online. Let's do a meeting in Vegas. And that was the Townie meeting. So we went to Howard Ferran, who was the owner of Dental Town, and said, hey, we have this idea for a meeting. Can we use the Townie name? Because that was what the dental townies were called. And Howard says, hey, listen, I have no interest in getting in the meeting business. Go ahead, run with it. So we did. We ran it for 10 years. And, it was a fun meeting. And I think we did some things that were, I guess, groundbreaking at the time. Like, you go to, remember this, Fred, when you would go to most meetings, you'd have an exhibit hall on one end, and then lunch would be somewhere else. And so the exhibitors would sit there and complain about nobody's visiting us because they're on the other part of the hotel. We said, we're going to have lunch in the exhibit hall. And that kind of was something new nobody was doing. And I think it made our exhibitors happy. It made the doctors happy because they could go check out all the products and simple stuff like that. And then we would throw these raging parties, which in hindsight, we probably could have not done and made some more money.
But so what?
Yeah, I know. We rented out, what did we rent out? The Rio, the top floor of the Rio, and threw some raging parties. And, 50, 60, 100 grand for some of these things. And yeah, you're right. So what? Money will come if you have fun. We didn't know what the hell we were doing in terms of, running a business at that time, and let alone a meeting in Vegas with 1,000 people. So it was just more to have fun, but it kind of laid the foundation for other stuff that I did. But that's how it started back in, I guess, 2000 or so. And then,
and that's where you got good at just being in front of people. You started to create the Samir Puri brand, as did Tarun, who is T-Bone, we'll refer to him. And I got to get T-Bone on the podcast too. You're reminding me how much fun that will be. But you guys, I try to teach this all the time, is that fun is really contagious.
Yeah,
you can bring that into your practice. That will affect your patient base. That will affect your case acceptance. That will affect referrals. And you created that weekend where all the teams were there. It wasn't doctors just showing up. All the teams were there. This was a reward that the doctors gave their whole practice group for the once a year. It's like, we're going to go to Vegas. We're going to have a blast. We're going to learn some stuff at the same time. But again, it was like that. The peer group sharing was also just like you were saying before. There was Dental Town, every dentist was the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
He or she was just sitting there by themselves trying to figure everything else out with nobody to bounce anything off. And this suddenly turned into this great environment. We always had a great time.
Yeah.
800 Dentist was always a sponsor.
You guys were always the big sponsor, and we loved the parties that we threw. And you're right. I mean, that was unique with what Dental Town and Howard Ferrand did at that time. I think it was game changing. So it gave a lot of doctors an opportunity to just vent. You know, if not anything else, you know, they're struggling in their practice, they're struggling with their team, maybe they're struggling in their personal life. Where do you go? You know, where do you go to talk to other professionals who might be having the same issues? Otherwise, you feel like, you know, I'm the only one in this world that's going through these struggles, when that's just not true. You know, in this, I think in this social media world, and I want to maybe just take a second to remind everyone this: life is not what you see on Instagram. You know, it's take a step back. It's not always that green with the grass on the other side of the fence. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you know this guy, Dan Bilzerian. Dan Bilzerian is some Instagram dude, and if you were to follow him on Instagram, you would think he is God. The guy is every picture, he's on a private jet, he's on a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, he's got 20 bikini-clad women around him, drinking champagne, you would think like, oh my God, this is like, why am I such a loser for not living this life, like this amazing life where he's, you know, sitting on $2 million in cash on a bed, you know, just like whatever. And then you go kind of behind the scenes, you realize, well, his company is about to go bankrupt. He's been siphoning money off his company. And, you know, basically his investors have been funding his lifestyle. So it's all a con game. And you know, I think the one nice thing that, you know, Dental Town and now CDOCS, you know, there's Facebook groups. The one nice thing that you do have is that you can talk to other people. And as long as you can get past the BS of the negativity and the bravado, and you make some real good friends through these communities, you have a community nationwide that you can share with. And that's, to me, I think I look back on everything that I've done, Fred, is the friendships that I've had, the friends that I've made nationwide. I mean, these are people I can call and say, hey, listen, I need you to take a bullet for me, and they'll do it. Like, that's how tight these relationships have been over the years. So that's what I want people to focus on, not all the nonsense that you see on social media and some of these other forums.
And I think I feel the same way about, you know, like I go, you know, to events, and, you know, I go to Spear, I go to Chicago midwinter, and various other events that have happened except for last year. And I'm seeing you, I'm seeing other people. I'm going like, these are, I'm really happy to know these people. I'm really excited to see these people, you know, like when we would do the various CEREC events until it eventually became an annual thing with Dentsply and Sirona. I mean, there'd be like 500 people trying to get into the bar at night, because it's like we all knew we had seen each other, and this was our chance to see each other again. And it was, you realized there were these really great people who that you valued the relationship that you had created, and that was a network of hundreds and hundreds of people that was available to you. And I think that transformed the dentistry that we know, certainly. And I think you certainly, the people who come to get trained at CDOCS are experiencing that as well. It's not just who the instructor is, but who are these people who are working at that level and learning this technology.
Yeah, I think, you know, and when you surround yourself with like-minded, successful individuals who have a positive outlook on life, it only makes you better. You know, I am who I am is because of my influences around me, right? I have chosen and been fortunate to have some incredible influences around me. You mentioned Imtiaz Manji. You know, we both know Imtiaz on a very personal and intimate level. And I will tell you, he's one of the few people in my life that has had a profound impact on who I am today, because he had the trust and the confidence to say, hey, do your thing and we're going to support you. And he backed me, and he supported my company, and he purchased my company. And, that's just the scratching the tip of the influence that he's had on me. So surround yourself, find the good people in the world, find the ones that are going to lift you up and going to support you, and not say, oh, well, you can't do that. I don't want any people in my life that say you can't do that. And it's not something that is healthy. I'd rather do it and fail and at least know that I've tried to do something than to say, oh, you can't do that. So moving from LA, a lot of people would have said, oh, I can't do that. I have a practice. I have my family. I can't do that. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can. If it doesn't work, you move back.
Yeah, you can do it and undo it. That's what successful people do. But also, this something you touched upon, which to me is one of the essential aspects of leadership, is that Imtiaz saw something. He saw more in you than you saw in yourself, and he challenged you to become that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's an amazing thing to have happen, but it becomes, I think that's who you are when you're educating people now. It's like, no, you can be at a whole other level and take that hesitance out of them, or that fear or that reluctance to push their own boundaries.
Yeah, I think one of my, in looking back on life, I think, since we're talking about remarkable things, one of the most remarkable things that I'm grateful for is, when we started, me and my former partner, we were doing all the workshops, and then it was just me because the partner decided to move on and do other stuff. And so I was teaching every single workshop. Now we've got 12 or 13 dentists that are on CDOCS staff doing the implant, the ortho, the endo, the CEREC workshop. I'm not teaching anymore. And I think the most remarkable thing is that I had the opportunity to lay a foundation for years. I don't know how many lectures I've done in my life. If I never do another one, it'll be too soon. But to see the company thrive without me, that's what I'm happy about. Not that I'm leaving or retiring, none of that, but I'm not the front man. It's not about me anymore, Fred. You talked about the Samir Puri brand. I'm in the background. I want to blow wind in my colleagues' sail so they can be successful when they're doing their workshops. And I'm in the background, removing barriers, helping support them in however I can. That's my new career. And I love it. And I absolutely love it. And I love seeing people that, I'll now run into at our center. Someone just literally today came up and said, oh my God, so good to see you. What are you doing these days? I said, well, not what I was doing. Yeah, I don't want to say nothing because I'm doing a ton of work, but I'm not doing I'm not practicing dentistry anymore. I'm not doing lectures. I'm in the background running our business. And it's so grateful to hear how, hey, you've had such a positive impact on my life. And thank you for that. I love that. That to me is remarkable to have touched so many lives and now to support the next group of educators going forward in our company. My hope is to do to others what Imtiaz did to me, is to give confidence and support them.
And I think you do that. I think that, what would you tell a doctor who wants to start educating, like who feels like they've gotten to that point, and you say, all right, well, if you want to get in front of people, here's some of the skills you're going to need because you grew that skill.
Yeah. Can I be blunt about that?
Yeah.
I get asked that all the time. Hey, I want to speak, and people think that, yeah, hey, I'm a good dentist. I can put together a few slides, pay me my 5, 10, 15 grand, whatever it is. And why am I not getting it? Why are you getting all the stuff? I've had a lot of people ask me about that, and I always give them the opportunity. Absolutely. So I have a platform. We have CDOCS. We have a website. We have a digital magazine. You can make videos. So there's a lot of ways that you can contribute. So my standard response is always absolutely start posting some cases on CDOCS, make some videos, write an article, Okay. 99% of the people, oh, well, yeah, I'll get around to it. Okay. Well, if you're not willing to do that, but you just want to be handed a check because you think you deserve it, why would I ever hire you or, tell someone to hire you as an educator? I need to see what your cases are. I need to see what you teach. And so me saying, go post on CDOCS, write an article, make some videos, that's your working interview, right? Now, I'll tell you, most people say, oh yeah, I'll get around, and you never hear from them again because they realize, oh, it's not so easy as just, getting up on stage and where's my check, right? There's a lot of work involved in putting together a lecture. I'll give you an example. Mina Barsoom. Mina teaches our CEREC classes. Mina was one of our mentors in our mentor group. And he was one of the folks that said the same thing. Hey, I want to do more. And I said, absolutely, Mina, do X, Y, and Z. He not only did X, Y, and Z, he did A, B, C, D, and E, which you look at him and say, wow, this guy's really hungry. He's willing to put in the time and the effort and the energy, and he creates the content. And now he has a following and he's a faculty for us. Dan Butterman, who replaced me teaching the CEREC courses, same thing. He said, hey, I want to get involved. I want to do more. Absolutely, Dan. Write an article, make a video. Let's see what you got. He did it all and more. So to those of you listening out there that want to be speakers and educators, one, I would tell you, be careful what you ask for because it just may happen. And life on the road is not the easiest. It is a sacrifice. But more importantly, nobody's going to hand you anything because we're all busy. And you probably get approached like this, Fred, all the time because of your position, prominence. It's like, I'm not going to recommend you to a company to hire you for a program because I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're capable of. Show me what you're capable of, and then let's talk. So that's my blunt assessment on those people that want to educate. It's not hard. You can do it, but you have to put in the time and the effort.
Yeah, it is an absolutely learnable skill, but it didn't come with a dental degree.
No.
And just like anything, just like you and I learned to go from a room of 15 people to 50 people to 5,000. If they stuck us in front of 5,000 people the first week we started speaking, it would have been an unfortunate situation for all involved.
Yes.
So
100% agree. By the way, speaking of that, you know what the best memory of me and you is? Remember when we did that raffle right before your lecture at DS World?
Yes.
And so for those of you listening and watching, Fred was going to speak, and we at CEREC Doctor at the time did a raffle where we had a special number written on the shirt. There was 5,000 shirts that we made. And so in order to win the raffle, and I think we were giving away $5,000 something, you had to be in the room when we announced the number. And that announcement happened to be right before Fred's lecture, which was right after lunch, which is typically a difficult time sometimes because people take a while to get back from lunch. But
they trickle back into the room for 20 or 30 minutes if they come back at all.
Exactly.
Again, it's Vegas, right? So it's like they drift.
Exactly.
The pool starts to look good, and they've had lunch. They're in the exhibit hall, and so you basically made it requisite that they had to be in the room to win.
And the room was packed. Everybody had an orange shirt on, which was our color. We did the raffle, and then we're like, Fred, take it away. He's like, wow, this is awesome. So those of you budding speakers, never take the slot after lunch. And unfortunately, sometimes we get stuck there, but you want to be somewhere else because that's a tough spot to be in.
And never take the slot before Samir either, because you're going to suffer by comparison, right? So,
oh, no. Those days are over, man. Like I said, I'm done lecturing. I don't give any more lectures. I mean, I think, if they asked me to be the host of DS World again, I'd certainly do that. And I'd do some of those types of duties because I enjoy it. But as far as speaking and talking, I don't know. I think it's time for the next chapter in my life.
Well, what does that next chapter look like? Do you know yet, or are you on the mountaintop and it's like all you can do is enjoy the view?
I mean, I have a pretty good idea. So CDOCS is my future. I want to see us grow and thrive even further, right? So from where we started to where we are today, I mean, we've grown so massively as a company. I'm really enjoying doing that. But I don't want to do when I was starting, I was doing full-time practice and then lecturing on the weekends, and then in the evenings making content for CDOCS doctors. So it was, 10, 14-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. So I missed out on my kids. Like my girls are 21 and 19. They're out of the house, and there's a lot of things that I missed on them growing up. I don't want to make the same mistake. So I have a more balanced schedule. I try to get out and golf. My wife and I go out and have date night, regularly, and we take regular vacations and trips. And so the next chapter is doing what I do, but I've been fortunate that I've made some investments that have done really well. And so financially, I'm in a position to just really enjoy the second half of my career, wherever it takes me. I don't know that there's a specific job that I want. I certainly know that I'm not doing dentistry anymore, not because I don't enjoy it or like it, but it's like anything, right? I can't dabble in it. That's just not my personality. If I do something, I want to do it. And between all the other things that I was doing, I was dabbling in dentistry, and I stopped. It was a great 20-year run, but it was time to hang up the handpiece and move on.
I mean, these are great lessons for anyone because, of course, as a dentist, you can be happy your whole career. You get to help people every day, right? And everybody that's coming and getting training from you, that there's tremendous satisfaction in getting better at what you do.
When I was
let's talk about technology and how it's propelling so much, because I think that's important. But if you had a thought on top of what I said, say that.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, when I was in the chair doing dentistry, there wasn't a greater joy in life. I loved it because I was doing smile makeovers and, et cetera, et cetera. It was awesome. But when I started to do that part-time, I wasn't doing it to the best of my abilities, which is why I decided, it's time to move on. But you mentioned technology. I mean, I've grown up on technology, CDOCS, cone beam, you name it. I've had it in my office, and that makes it enjoyable. It makes dentistry fun. Listen, we can get caught up on the minutia of, it's too expensive, it's not worth it, blah, blah. You can run your analysis whichever way you want to make it either profitable or you're the poorest person in the world. That's a math issue that people play games with. Yeah. What you cannot argue with is that technology makes dentistry fun. When I was using my CDOCS, it made dentistry fun. When I was making crowns in a single visit and taking care of patients' broken teeth, and they're like, whoa, we're done? Yeah, that was fun. And I don't want to ever do anything that's not fun. Why would you? Like, why do we choose to not have fun? So, if I spend, 20 grand in a year on vacations and trips with my family, and that's enjoyable, why wouldn't I choose to invest in my practice some extra dollars and not be so worried about the minutia and the ROI? Because I'm having fun, right? Have fun. Boy, life without fun is just not fun.
No, and the clock runs out. You and I have known each other a long time, and a lot of the time we're just sitting here going, "Where exactly did those decades go?"
Oh my God,
one of the things you talked about, which I think is important, is you missed out on time with your kids. When people think, "Oh, I want a lecture," it's the road is, you got to prepare for it. You got to get to somewhere, and you got to get home. And guess when that happens? On the weekends, a lot of time. And so you will be making sacrifices. You got to think long and hard about, are you really willing to make that sacrifice? Is it that important to you? Because there'll be a trade-off.
Yeah. And I think that leads to another thing that I've noticed. People don't know what they want. Right? They're not firm in their commitments. Back in the day, I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be the successful educator at the world's leading educational facility. We did that. Okay. So you asked me, what does the future hold? I'm being a little coy, but I know exactly, on the inside, 5 years from now, what I want to be doing. I'm very firm and very clear on that. Most people I hear, they don't know what they want. Like, do you want to run a great practice? Okay, well then why are you wasting your time trying to be an educator part-time and not getting anywhere? Why don't you just take all of that time focusing on your practice? Conversely, if you want to be a lecturer and be on the road every week, which I don't know why anyone would, I've been there, done that. It's not that great, right? But if that's the life you want, then why aren't you doing more to be a better speaker? Okay, you're wasting time doing all these other things. So people aren't focused is what my biggest observation is. And those people that aren't focused aren't successful. When you become focused, and that focus can be on your practice, it can be on your marriage, it could be on your speaking career, your whatever it is, be focused, right? That's what's going to lead to success. You will 100% succeed if you're focused, but if you don't know quite what you want to do, then you're not going to succeed.
Yeah, well, then I always ask people why. It's like, well, I want to be an educator. Well, why?
Why?
Well, I feel like I have a lot to share. Well, why do you think that? Well, I've learned a lot. It's like, okay, and how does that distinguish you from
anyone else?
Approximately 20,000 other dentists or 100,000? Yeah. And so you got to ask yourself why. You got to dig down why and say like, oh, well, I sometimes you just realize you don't feel that good, that important. So standing in front of a room makes you feel important. It's like, okay, there's the wrong reason to do it. Okay. Yeah. If you feel like, look, I am like you became fascinated by CEREC. Okay. You became almost a little obsessed with the technology, right? It excited you to the point where you had to spread that knowledge. Yeah. You had no idea that CEREC doctors would monetize, right? You just knew people were interested. You 500 people signed on in the 24 hours. You went, people are interested. There's people as crazy as me, right? And that propelled you. That became your why. It's like, I want to give this to people. And so dig into why you're doing it. Whatever you're chasing, make sure that your motivation is strong. Because you will trade things off. You made sacrifices with your family and your large family that you left behind in the San Fernando Valley, and your kids by working so much. These are big trade-offs. You gotta have a real reason why you're going to do that, and ask yourself if it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that reinforces what I was saying. People aren't focused. And I think you summarized it better than I did in the, Start With Why, this famous Simon Sinek book, a lecture, Start With Why. Why are you doing this? Because you're not becoming a speaker or an educator for the money. You can make a lot more money in your practice instead of running around. I mean, look, I've done an 18-hour round trip to Sydney, Australia from Arizona to lecture. Flew for 14, 15 hours, 18 hours, was on the ground 18 hours, caught the next flight home. Why would anybody do that? Well, I wanted to share my passion, but I also, was focused at the time because I knew that I'm spending a lot of time away from family. It would have been great to take a couple of days in Sydney and kind of check out Australia. My kids and wife are at home. Like, I can't do that. I don't feel right. So I've done overnight trips to New York, or day trips, I should say. Fly in the morning, do your thing, and you're on the 6 o'clock flight home. You've done that. You've been there. So
you do the turn and burn. I don't know anybody that's done the turn and burn to Australia before. So that's a rough one, right? I don't care how the first class is. Yeah. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
You don't have time to get jet lagged though, because you're already home.
But again, that was at a point where I was realizing I'm spending a lot of time away from home. I don't want to minimize that. Right.
Yeah.
I enjoy what I do. Like I said, when I do something, I try to do it all in and I'm very focused, but I also know that, I've got to be smart with my time where I can't, hey, honey, I'm off for 5 days to Australia. I'll see you later. And
I'll send pictures.
I'll send pictures. Where I would send those pictures to, I don't know, because I don't think I'd be allowed back in the house, but that's a different story.
Yes, that's a way to get the locks changed right there. Exactly. So are either of your girls going to become a dentist?
No, they think dad's an idiot. He doesn't know anything of importance. My older one is going to try to become a real doctor. So great story. You've met my girls. Serene is now 21. We found out at, I think it was about 8 months old, that she has a severe dairy and nut allergy. Okay, so she can't have any milk, butter, cheese. So she's grown up. She's had to use the EpiPen like 12 times. She's almost died because if she has some milk or anything dairy, she'll stop breathing. So we've had some scares along the way where, you've got to check with everything. She has started a program where they're desensitizing her. It's a 3 or 4 year program, but she's very passionate about it. And she has a blog on Instagram called Serene, Serene, where she talks to other allergy kids and allergy parents. And she is very passionate about it because of her experiences. And now she's matured and grown up in that world. And so she wants to become a doctor. And she wants to, potentially go into allergies, right? And help other people get over their allergies, because for some people it's a nuisance. For others, it's life-threatening. And so she has a why. Like, she wants to go to medical school to help in that industry and develop additional treatments. Her why is because she's lived it. So she's very focused on that. My younger daughter is a freshman at NYU Tisch. She's a beautiful artist. Do you like sneakers? You wear sneakers, right? She paints sneakers. She does beautiful stuff. I'll send you some pictures of her. And so she's an artist.
Send me a pair. Don't just send pictures.
I'm going to send you a picture, then I'm going to send you a pair. Done.
All right.
Uncle Fred is going to.
My part of my brand is my shoes, right? So
that's what made me think of it. What's your shoe size?
9.5.
Okay. So I will make this happen. But she loves doing artistry. But I said, sweetheart, you are my expensive child. NYU Tisch is going to cost me about $100,000 a year. Please do something more than just art. And because I didn't want to be the father says, no, you can't do it. Right? We already talked about that. I want to be encouraging. So absolutely, I'm going to encourage. But however, let's do something more than just art. So she's in a special program. It's a digital arts program. 30 students are accepted every year. She got accepted into it, and they do all sorts of digital art, like setting up art interactive displays and building websites and doing animations, all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's what she's doing. I know my older one probably has a pretty good job lined up for her once she gets out of medical school. I don't know what the hell my younger one is going to do. But both my wife and I are convinced that she's the smartest one out of all of us, because she's conned mom and dad into sending her off to NYU and doing an art degree and not having a care in the world. She'll be just fine.
Well, I remember them as kids coming to the various townie meetings. Yeah. And so I think that you've really inspired them to say there are no limits except the ones you impose on yourself. And so the fact that Serene is doing this very, very important work, your other daughter is going to figure something else out too, but it doesn't matter because you have shown her that, you chase fulfillment, and I'm very happy that that's the story, because I've watched them grow up. I've watched them grow up to be very tall also. Yeah,
they're amazing kids. They're so full of confidence. As much speaking as I've done, by the way, I just texted you some of her photos of some sneakers that she's done. As much as speaking as that, people don't know I'm kind of an introvert. I'm not really an outgoing guy. For me to strike up a conversation with someone, I'm just like, it's a lot of work for me. I do my quiet thing, but they are so outgoing and, I'm just so proud of them because over the years, I've said being shy is not going to get you anywhere. You need to be able to get up in front of a stage and control a room. So my younger daughter, so I told you about Serene, so she's got Serene Safe. My younger daughter started a charity that she's passing on to her younger cousin, Rainbow Pack AZ. And what they do is she collects donations, she does fundraisers, and buys school supplies for underprivileged kids in town. So she started, when we moved to Arizona, she started with one school, and last year she gave 3 different grades to 3 different schools, like a backpack each for school supplies filled with, pencil and paper and things that most of us take for granted, but an underprivileged child just doesn't have the money for a proper backpack or a trapper keeper. Remember those trapper keepers?
Yeah. Well, she's been doing this for a while. I remember when she started this. This was, I was so impressed with her.
Yeah.
How old was she when she kicked into this?
I want to say she was about 14 when she started this.
That's what I remember. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of both my girls. They're, despite my absence, they have been amazing girls, and probably because of my absence, because I have an amazing wife. So the wife has done a great job of raising the girls, and I've just been kind of the bystander and some So.
Well, this is great stuff. And of course, helping your kids to have confidence, I think, is probably the greatest gift you can give them. Yeah. But I hope that this gives other people confidence who are listening, that there are all sorts of options in your career. You have a dental degree. There's so many directions you can go in to make it fun, to make it exciting, to make it satisfying and fulfilling, and have an impact on as many people as you choose. So Sam, thank you. It's been great to watch the career arc, and I can't wait to see what's next. And so
always good to see you
for being on. And
yeah, no, thanks for having me. And, there's probably some dentists out there that are struggling. I'll share one story before I go. I bought my first office 3 months out of my residency because I wanted to own my office. I was very focused, and I bought a challenging office. I had to sell that office because I moved to my other one, and I just couldn't do both. And I sold that office, the first one, for a $25,000 loss. Right? My wife and I thought the world was going to be over, that it was the end of us. Career was done, 25 grand, we're never going to recover. And as desperate as that situation was, in hindsight, it was nothing. It was irrelevant. It means nothing. As you get successful, as you gain success and you gain your traction, the bad things that happen in life that you think are insurmountable, they're going to be a bump in the road. So keep your chin up, stay focused, and have a vision for the future. And don't say no. Go be positive. Just say yes to everything. And nothing bad is going to happen when you say yes. Nothing good can happen when you say no.
I love it. Thank you very much, Sam. For the rest of you out there, as always, please subscribe to the podcast, share it around to people. Even if you didn't like it, subscribe anyway, and because it makes me feel so great when I see the numbers going up and up and up. But no, the goal was to bring messages just like this. So for all of you out there, keep on being remarkable. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sam.